Hey there beautiful people, and welcome to this quick video. With 2022 fast approaching and what looks like a year where we're going to have much more control over our own destiny, the team at the 8-Week Life Hack and I wanted to put together a simple to follow video that won't take up too much of your time and will help you with your goal setting, your resolutions, and the dreams for you in the year ahead. So with the new year, and I'm sure you've experienced it before as well, everyone wants to set themselves goals. But often we fail, and we fail pretty early on. And there's two main reasons. One is we set goals that are too lofty. We're not connected with them, and perhaps we don't have enough belief in achieving the goal. And the second one, which is the most frequent, is after 1 or 2 days, we simply have forgotten to do what we said we'd do. You know, it's not a habit yet, or simply we haven't reached that first target that we set, and therefore, we quit. So this video is going to really help with those problems, and we use a few theories at the 8-Week Life Hack. One's called proximal and distal goal setting, which is the idea of that far long-term goal and then break it down right up into that near short-term goal. And the second one is a bit of a hybrid of something we came up with the idea of SMART goal theory. Now, SMART goal theory probably isn't new to you, the S-M-A-R-T acronym. The only thing that might be new is that we changed the letter A to mean alignable with your personal values and goals. But we'll show you that in a minute. So we use that theory as well so that you can set some smart signposts, set some close, near, short-term signposts, and then forget the long-term goals so you can just concentrate on that immediate task at hand, on that tangible task at hand. And that's enough of an intro. Let me now do some demonstrations, use a few examples, and show you what I mean. So just to give you a really clear idea of what I'm talking about, let's go think about the next year. Think about that end goal you want to reach. That's where we start. And then we break it down into more major signposts to reach along the way. You know, those big steps, those big milestones that you want to reach on your way to the end goal. And then we break that all the way down into what it takes to get there and your daily actions. So they're even smaller signposts, and this will make a lot more sense just in a minute. That's what we're going to be breaking down today, that idea of distal goals, proximal goals, or the far long-term goals broken down to near short-term goals that we can reach now. Okay, so I'm going to start with a really simple one, finances. It's easy for me to come up with numbers in that scenario. So what we're going to do here is we're going to base it on time signposts. So 12 months away, what do I want to achieve? I want to make, let's say, $1 million. And you guys can work out whatever this amount is for you and then just break down the numbers similarly. But because it's 12 months, $1 million, I'm just going to break it straight into the months. So 11, so that's November, October, September. All right, so where do I need to be in these months? You'll see how this gets me to $1 million. So you can't start off big. You just still have to do the gradual scale. It's kind of like a periodic program to get to where you want to go. So $1 million, let's say in the last month, you know, you're going to be making, I know it can slow up in December, so let's say it's 90K. Yeah? November, okay, let's say that's going to be a better month, so that's 110. Okay. What I'm going to do is to break it down, I want to reach about halfway, just after halfway. So let's say we want to be at 500K by July. How do we get to there? All right, so if we get 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, that'll work. So 100 there, so 6 by August, 7 by September, 800 by October, 910 by November, and then we should be at $1 million by the end of the year. Let's break that down even further. Okay, so like I said, you want to periodically get there. So let's see if Jan can't be a 40 month, then maybe February a 50 month, 60, 70. Now where does that take us? 40, that's 90, plus 60, that's 150, plus 70, that's 220, plus 80, that's 300. So by May we're at 300, yeah, sweet. Then June 400, and then it's 100K from there on out. So you can see how I kind of came up with those numbers to get to where I want to go. So we've set that now, so we know that for these months, we're at 100K. Yeah, so that's the goal for those months, and we break it down all the way here. Here we're at 80 here, 70 here, 60 here, 50 here, and 40 here. All we need to concentrate on now is the January month, that signpost. Smart signpost. And what I mean by smart is What's the specific goal? Okay, for January, to make 40K. Is it measurable? Yes, it's measurable because it's 40K cash in my bank. Is it aligned with my values? Well, for me, yes, the job that I do is aligned with my values and helping people and so on and so forth. So yes, it is. Is it realistic? 40K, is it realistic? Yeah, I can make 40K in a month, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a second. So is it realistic given the current resources? Do I have the resources to do it? And yes, I do. And time bound, is it time bound? Yes, it's 1 month. So that's a smart signpost for my January 40K goal. And then you do that for each of these goals all the way up until you get the 100K one, which you can just multiply 6 times to get to the million. I guess that's going to I hope that makes sense to you. But just to reiterate, so SMART is it a specific goal, and what's the specifics? M is it measurable, as in, is it tangible? Do you know when you have it? A, is it aligned with your values? Is it aligned with your personal values? Because this is where you're going to get your motivation, your energy, and your desire to keep going even when you don't want to. R, is it realistic given your resources? So do you have the ability to achieve it? So for an example on this one, I might not actually have the ability to achieve 100K in Jan. So that's probably going to not have the R, therefore it's not a smart signpost. But 40K, I can get there. If I can get to 40, I can get to 50. And if I can get to 50, I can get to 60. And you see how we're building that up. And then T, is it time bound? Have you given yourself a deadline? Okay, so that's the acronym, SMART. And that's how you create a smart signpost. And the reason we're doing that is that we can set these long-term goals, then create these smart signposts and simply focus on hitting that. Okay, so how am I going to get my 40K? And so what we're doing there is we're taking that goal and we're breaking it down into daily actions to get there. Okay, so what are my daily actions for reaching the 40K? So for me, I know if I want to make 40K, that's essentially I've got to sell 800 programs. And you guys can apply your own income and your own products and your own effort into whatever this means. If you are a lawyer, then you work out how many billables you've got to do. If you own a cafe, you work out how many coffees you've got to sell. If you are, working for someone, you work out how many hours you've got to do, etc., etc. So for me, it's 800 programs. And to get to 800 programs, it's approximately 640 sales calls. Yeah? To get to 640 sales calls is about 3 emails. That's approximate. Okay, so what I know is I've got to send 3,200 emails in the month of January to get to 40K. What does that mean? Well, it means essentially I've got to send about 120 emails or direct outreaches per day. Okay, so what we've done there is gone from end goal, 12 months, $1 million. Broken it all the way down into daily actions. What do I have to do on the day? Okay, I have to send 120 emails. That is my daily action. So that's what I focus on January 1 and January 2 and January 3 and January 4. And eventually I know that if I do that, set, forget and focus on that, all of this will come together and I'll get to my $1 million. Obviously there's a lot more to it as far as energy goes, but as far as goal settings go, that's it. Okay, I'll do another example. Maybe we'll use fitness this time. With fitness, I'm going to do 2 goals, 12 months. Okay, but the first goal is going to be actually by the end of June. I want to be able to deadlift, I'll make it easy, 200 kilos. And similarly, by the end of October, let's do a cardio-based one. Okay, by the end of October, I want to run a marathon, 42 kilometers. Okay, they're the goals. They're the end goals. How are we going to set them? Okay, so by June, 200 kilos. In January, let's say you can deadlift 160. Okay, so to move up to there, at some stage you want to have to reach 180, then 190, and eventually 200. Now, you can probably put this down to some pretty basic kind of stuff, but let's say March 180, May, April, let's say April 190, yeah? Okay, so 200 kilograms by June. This is where you are in Jan at 160. So your first signpost is going to be March 180. Is it measurable? Yes. Is it aligned? Yes. Well, deadlifting might be, one of your values might be staying healthy. Deadlifting maybe staying healthy. Is it realistic given current resources? Well, you're strong, you're fit, you're not injured, and you currently hit 160. So it's probably realistic given your current resources, and time bound, yes, you've given it a time. So then what you do is you forget about these, you just focus on that and how are you going to get there? And you obviously go off and do a gym program, get yourself a PT, do some progressive overload, do some accessories work, etc., until you reach the 20 kilogram improvement. And then you do the same thing with your next smart signpost. You set that one. So by April 90, is it measurable? Yes. Is it aligned? Yes. Is it realistic? Well, if you get to here, it's probably realistic. And is it time bound? Yes. And then you forget this one and you just focus on that. Then once you get there, same again for June, 200. Same thing, S-M-A-R-T. Tick, 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 tick. You work your way up until you get to your result. Similarly, let's say you've signed up for a marathon in October, how are you gonna get there? Well, end goal, break it down into your signposts. We'll stay with a time-bound signpost to get to where you wanna go. Okay, so from Jan, let's say you're currently running 10 kilometers. All right, so that means by the end of March, we want to be up to 15 kilometers, which means that that's our smart signpost there. Yeah, progressive. 15, end of April, let's say May, you want to be up to around 18 regularly. May, June, July, you want to be reaching that halfway point, that half marathon point. And then 3 months to get from a half marathon to a full, which if many of you have done any of that kind of running, once you get to the half, you've kind of got the legs to find yourself way to the full, so that's worthwhile. And then you work them out, are these all smart? What's the smart signpost for all of these? Then we set the end goal, forget it, and just focus on the next signpost. The next signpost to get to the 2 goals that we want to achieve. Okay, so what about something just a little bit harder? What about something that's not time related? Let's say you want to get a promotion at work. Okay? Well, what's that related to? Well, it's probably related to results and recognition. Yeah? Let's say those are the 2 things. Okay, so then we're going to set smart signposts that are focused on results and recognition. And you've got to spend some time trying to work that out, trying to work out what it is. And so let's say after the financial year, so after July, you want a promotion. That's the goal. All right, what do you need to do to get there? Well, you look around, you look at other people who've got promotions, or you ask your boss, or you ask your managers, or you ask the CEO what they're looking for, and they tell you what you want. So let's say you are an accountant, and they want to see you bring in, 6 new clients, 6 new accounts to the firm. All right, if you can do that within a 6-month period, that will get you promotion. Well, then that's going to be pretty easy because all we're going to do is we're going to break it down into the results. So your first smart signpost is 1 client. Simple. That's your specific result. And then your next one might be 3, the next one might be 5, and then your end goal is obviously 6. Right? So specific is to bring in 1 client. Measurable, well, yes, I have assigned 1 client to the firm. Is it assignable? Yes, I love my work, I like to help people with their finances or whatever your core values is. Look, if this part isn't making sense to you, the program that we do at the 8-Week Life Hack really dives into the values and shows you the purpose of them. So if that's something else you want to investigate and know more about, please reach out to us and we'll get stuck into that. Is it realistic given your current resources? Well, if this is what you're aiming at doing, then you're probably in a position to do that, so yes. And time bound is going to be the variable here. So, you might want to set that smart signpost to be like, I want this done within 2 months. Then we set that there. So then we forget about this 6 client thing and we just focus on getting that first client. And when that happens, we tick it off. And then we work out back from there and work out, getting 3 and so on and so forth. So you can see here, instead of setting it like kind of on the calendar, we're setting it based on reaching the goal and doing the things we need to do. And it might come faster, it might come slower. But we can relate that on a results as opposed to a time-bound scenario. And then similarly, to work that into daily actions, we work out what we need to do to get one client. You know, how many phone calls we need to make, how many meetings we need to have, how many coffees we need to have, how many of our network we need to reach, how many networking meetings we need to go to. We work those things out and we work out how many we need to do, you know, 1 every 3 days. Well, then that's your daily action. Or 20 emails a day, that's your daily action. And you work that out and just focus on that next signpost. Just focus on that next day of activities. And we focus there, set and forget, and work our way through to achieve our goal of this year, getting a promotion just after July. Now, these things that we've just discussed, fitness and financial, are tangible. I'm going to do one last example of something that's intangible and how you might go about achieving that for the year. So one of the things that I like to get our clients to do and that we like to focus on is great relationships. So to have a great relationship, you might set yourself a series of maybe 4 goals. One might be something like, I want to be a deeper listener. One might be something like, I want to have a real conversation at least once every day. One might be something like, we need to go out for a one-on-one dinner once a month. And then the last one, you know, maybe you know your partner's love language. And so for mine, it'd be gifts. So maybe you're going to say, I want to be able to give 5 gifts this year that aren't related to birthday or Christmas. Okay, so they're the goals you're going to set. And we do them in a slightly different way. You know, so it might be something like, you know, the gifts, which is pretty easy because we said 5 gifts. So you just set, you know, a timeline of when you want to do it and give yourself a week to go and purchase and deal with the gifts. The next one was, you know, I said real conversations daily. All right, if that's the end goal at the end of the year, then you break that all the way down to a whole range of smart signposts, and maybe for the first week of the year, you're like, I want to have 2 real conversations. Focus on that. Tick, done it. Second week, I want to have 4. So on and so forth. Pretty soon, you'll get to 7. Similarly with the dinners once a month was kind of like the gifts. You know, you would break that down into a monthly thing. The end goal here, intangible, is having a great relationship. Then you've worked out what things you need to do to have a great relationship, and then you've worked out your smart signposts to get those things done. So 1 dinner a month means, you know, measurable, yes it is, because I went there. Alignable, yes, I want to have good relationships. Realistic, given current resources, yeah, take a week to go and book a restaurant. If it's another year like this year, then maybe that just means dining in at home and you doing some cooking. And then is it time bound? Not necessarily, but we're going to try and do one every month. You can see how you could break it down. End goal, great relationships. Break it down into, what am I doing next? The next dinner, the next gift, the next week of 2 or more conversations, etc., until you get it. So what you've seen here is that I've really talked in depth about goal setting. And what I didn't touch on is that second thing that stops us from achieving, being resilient. And I skipped on that for 2 main reasons. The first is that I simply didn't want to take up too much of your time right now. And the other thing is that being resilient and staying on track to your goals relies very deeply on knowing what your core values are, what your purpose is. And that's another subject altogether. You can even see some links to some videos about that at the bottom of this page. Or if you want to go even deeper and get even better and not make the same mistakes and give up because of the same reasons that's made you stop chasing your goals last year or the year before, you can become a member at the 8-Week Life Hack. Follow the application link below and become a member. Look, qualified coaching guidance is our difference. And that will help you actually reach the goals that you set for 2022. Not setting bigger goals, not making grand gestures, actually get the guidance you need. All right, team, there's an evidence-based rundown for you on goal setting. Good luck in 2022. Good luck with all of your goals. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to flick us any questions at the 8-Week Life Hack for more information.